Hello, so Gemini 3.5 Flash is out, which is apparently best for frontier performance across agents and coding. Well, that sounds great. Let's see. So it's fast and smart, master complexity, truly multimodal. That is true. The Gemini models have one of the best vision capability. Okay, so that is true. So they have very well-rounded models. Hands-on, speed doesn't come at the cost of intelligence. Here are just few ways you can use Gemini 3.5 Flash's agentic capabilities at speed. Okay, that's good, I guess. But I don't think speed matters that much. So, they're claiming 76% on Terminal Bench 2.1 with the Terminus 2 harness. While others are losing. They're mostly comparing to themselves, but also 66% for Cloud Opus and 78% for GPT 5.5. Let's verify this. So we are on this page, Terminal Bench, and we can see Cloud Opus at 90%. So yeah, the one they picked, the Terminus 2, right? They're not here, not even the unverified section. So, but the point is, they picked a score of Cloud Opus 4.7 that is not exactly representative of its capability. So even if we just pick the second guy, that's going to be 80% and not 66. That's a bit of an oddness. Do you really want to start with this? And the second bench is not that good. And Arc AGI, I just checked that they're not there yet. And I guess we're gonna verify against artificial analysis. And here we're getting a much clearer picture. So they're kind of like sliding below the top Chinese models, at least coding wise. In general intelligence, I guess they are more on the level of that, of Kimi and Mimo. That's fine. But I guess their outstanding achievement here, and that is actually a huge leap for Gemini, and this is one of the reasons why they really sucked, is that their agenticness was bad. And oh boy, you felt it. And we can see that their DP eval is actually pretty good, and they're also scoring high on humanities last exam. But these are just benchmarks. So the real question would be how useful it is. And we also see that on the omniscience index, they're scoring very high, right? Top 3, only Cloud Opus gets in there. Where was the last Gemini Flash thing? I can type. So we can see that the old Gemini wasn't too far off. So in this benchmark, they were decent. But a bit of a problem that they jacked up the price 3x, right? And at this tier, well, they gotta be tier 1 at least, price-wise. In fact, comically so. If we just check out the price of the Gemini 3.1, then they are 75% there. Maybe this is faster? Yes. Apparently, they are fast. So the TPS is high. It's very high. So if you're picking a model just for that, then arguably, at least not considering specifically fast providers, they seem to be the fastest. You can also use them for free in the Gemini Flash, in the casual chat, and the AI Studio online. So this actually gives them 2 models. I'm not even I don't know the limits on this new Gemini 3.5 Flash, but I think the limit on the old Pro was, well, initially like 100, then it was 50, then it was 10. I think these days it's like 5. But this new edition should make the chat more useful, because you're going to have at least another guy that might be okay intelligence-wise. Yet one thing I found out, that they are actually killing the Gemini CLI. This CLI sucks so bad. It sucked. It was actually okay when it first came out. It had the generous quotas, we can say that. And at the time, the market was less competitive. So they kind of released the CLI. At the time, everyone else's CLI also kind of sucked. But they're not giving up on anti-gravity. So we can see that they actually have it in anti-gravity, apparently for a limited time, although I am now a free user. I used to have it, not anymore. But don't be bamboozled by these options. You are not gonna get much use at all. And I didn't get much use at all as a paying user. So I don't know. I think they would need to be more explicit, clearer about what they are offering. Because when I left, they butchered the limit so hard that would make a Claude Pro subscription blush. And just as a warning, I'm saying that using your anti-gravity and I guess Gemini CLI quota in other things is against the toss. So that will get you banned. Not like I have done this, but I heard that people who did this got banned. But one extra news we have, an important update, transitioning Gemini CLI to anti-gravity CLI. So they are just consolidating their user base in this anti-gravity thing, which is probably a good idea. Yeah. Although it doesn't have a good reputation right now, you know. But to be fair, it came out interesting. The quotas were good. Then it kind of struggled with performance concerns, and they struggled to deliver on their quotas, and they were super vague about it. So I guess it wasn't like a breaking of their service, what they were offering, but you definitely did not get your money's worth. So now we have anti-gravity CLI and anti-gravity 2.0. I guess we're gonna see. What is anti-gravity 2.0? I suspect it's gonna be more agentic. So it's gonna be more of a like an agent platform. But interesting point is that they actually built it in Go. And okay, that's kind of nice because this could be a selling point. I was thinking about this. This could be a selling point because everyone's making their dumb things in TypeScript, I guess JavaScript, and Python. And they actually were the biggest offenders of this. They released anti-gravity, and it sucks so bad. And I think making anti-gravity 2.0 is an amazing idea because like it was like 80% their problem, but also Microsoft was also a bit of a dick. It was not making it easy for them because they were trying to piggyback on VS Code. Cursor did the same thing, then they decided to make their own idea, which may have worked out. I'm not really using it. Also, their deal is not that great. My opinion is that you don't need an idea these days. Well, for general use. You use it for occasional edits, but it's not something that you have open all the time. You would just have a plan, just execute on the plan. You want to make sure that you have a good understanding of what is going on. And you're not going to get that in a terminal, most likely, or it's not going to be the best. But it's out. We can try it out. I have to run AG, okay? So we are here after some bug fixing, because Google, in their infinite wisdom, decided that, it's a really good idea just to provide an install script that leaves up the old version, so it doesn't work at all. So when I ran the command, it actually just started the old one, so we had to clean it up. But hey, we got some cool dark mode. There's no mouse. As far as I know, I could be mistaken, there's no mouse support, and the Go terminal thing is. So I'm not sure why they picked that, but no, I don't want it. We don't need it. Now, my question would be, do I get anything for getting my data stolen? Do I have anything? If you can sweeten the pot, I could be more convinced. But you know what? Let's just play nice. We're gonna done. Yeah, I trust this. And then we froze. Oh boy. But we're good now. So we can add a deer to the CLI, agents, artifacts. And by the way, so they were working on this. Their Gemini CLI sucked ass. But this one looks pretty much sota, right? Contacts, copy, diff, fast. Yeah, you have this option. Fork, branch, help, hooks. Yeah. I already gave it a bit of a skim. MCP model. We can choose models. And we can choose the agent can plan before execution tasks. We can also loop, rename, sure. Skills. And we have goal too. Usage quota. I'm curious about that. So presumably, they unified the quotas. So now you share the same quotas as the anti-gravity thing. And this one actually shows the quotas. And this was one of the requests people had, that it was just annoying that you didn't know about the quotas. You don't want to be surprised that way. That is not what you want. But otherwise, this kind of looks nice. And it actually comes with a bunch of free stuff. So I guess that would be the advantage here. And this is not bad. And another interesting point, that they changed the sub-tiers. Very, very interesting. So we have the $20 one and the $80 one here. And get usage limits that are 4 times higher. It doesn't really matter because the base plan doesn't give you access to the increased quota on the Gemini. I guess everything is Google anti-gravity now. Entry rate limits to agent model. Yeah, really? Gemini app. Okay. So basically, you're getting 5x the limits for 4x the price. That's kind of the expectation here. But of course, the question is of how much you're getting with the base one. But that's very interesting because they used to have like the 250 tier. And now they made an 81. I guess this might be $100. And I tried to use a VPN, but apparently you need to log in to see this page in the first place. But I think I need to walk back a little bit what I said before, because this is just the Gemini app. This is the chat thing, right? Get usage limits that are 4x higher than without Google AI plan, plus access to our pro model, deep research as more. Okay. But if you use the, I'm not sure it's worth it for that. I guess you would be getting it for the deep research. This is like 5x the pro. So the main question would be how much anti-gravity you're getting here. And actually says entry rate limits to agent model in Google Anti-Gravity, our agentic development platform. They both say the same thing. So I don't get it. So the only line here is that includes high access to Google's most capable models and more. And this includes higher access. Okay. So I have to say that Google might have good models, but their pricing pages are the worst. And if you only care about the anti-gravity limits, because actually that's a good question. Did they completely sunset the IDEA? I think so. So they replaced the IDEA for the CLI, and they killed the Gemini CLI for the CLI. And I think rightfully so, because they both suck. So honestly, that's a good call. That is wisdom, right? You just double down on one good thing that others are doing too. Well, I guess you just copy what works. But still, that's smart. And it might seem like what I'm doing right now is a pointless detour, but this is super relevant because this is a proprietary model. So you're getting it from Google, and you cannot even put it into PyCode or OpenCode. So if you are going with this, right, then you're buying into the whole eco, and you are using their anti-gravity 2.0 CLI thing, right? And I think in order for that, but one thing you might need to consider is that you might only care about this thing, and they say like, oh yeah, this much too could be a value add, but keep in mind that all the things that you're not getting by only engaging with their eco. So yeah, that matters. But let's just give it a quick test. And I just as we speak, have a bit of a bug. Hey, can you help me find the test service that is running? Promise me for a login. I think I left it up. So yeah, we have some kind of test service. I didn't leave it up, actually. AI decided in their infinite wisdom that I need some test service. I'm not sure what, but what does we have it? And I want AI to kind of help me clean it up. Let's see what I can do. Okay, it's fast. Do you want to proceed? We're not doing YOLO, right? And apparently it doesn't come with any YOLO commands. Maybe it has a setting like that? So that's going to be the first mission. Apparently I couldn't find it in the settings. So we're going to turn this thing into YOLO. Can it turn into YOLO? Okay, so this is the self-YOLO experiment. And apparently it was pretty good at it. Although it asked me to say yes like 25 times. So, well, if there's a way to say YOLO, at least Gemini didn't know. And I apparently just snooped around all my repos to find this arcane secret. And next up, we're going to clean up the test service that I left running by accident. And so far, I'm kind of happy. Yeah. Well, I guess we don't see the quota here, but it didn't move. So I don't know. This could be promising or not promising. If this actually meant that it just didn't even move by 1% by doing this task, but that might make sense. But still. And second try, we got a dud. It tore down my my dev server that is actually legit. And the dangerously not ask for permissions was definitely true. We just did it. But you can customize your permission preferences, so not a problem. Apparently I couldn't find it, but this might not be the same thing though, because they tend to have a base level of commands that they don't allow. And one thing we are seeing here for sure, that I cannot confirm the intelligence of this model. In fact, well, the second example kind of implied that maybe not the toppest, but it is very agentic. It just keeps going. Right? I just told it one problem and it just keeps going for this is like 15 minutes or so. And the results are in. I can see the mess my system is. We had a dummy site service up. I'm not sure. Arcane deployment test. Sure. And it was just left up. Also, we had a high CPU, P agent. P is a coding thing as well. And they were consuming 98% CPU. Yeah. That could happen, I guess, in development. And they were up since May 18. That's not that long. That's like yesterday. So it was not that obvious. Like that was like 98% of one core. But worth saying that this guy and this guy, they were broken and orphaned because you killed the other half. So yeah, I think this Playwright via server, WebSocket server. Yeah. This is just for using Playwright with with the coding helpers. So these other two were not bugs technically. Just I guess anti-gravity now, not the Gemini CLI, just blew up the rest of the dev server. It's fine. It's completely fine. We can just run a script. Your YOLO and AG aliases, okay, active. So it works. So what is my take on it? Honestly, I was pretty damn impressed. It is a trooper. It just keeps going, and it found the problems, and it solved it. It got a little too eager, but honestly, that's like, let's say like that's half of me, because I didn't specify technically. I think I was, somewhat clear, and Gemini, or I guess anti-gravity, a little bit jumped the gun there, but it's okay. It's an understandable mistake. So what would be my take? Of course, you can run more extensive tests yourself, but intelligence-wise, it's really impossible to say at this point, but it's definitely not a dumb one. The previous Flash would have totally screwed this up, but the most noticeable change is that, well, it was really intelligent. I think you may have had a better result with like GPT 5.5 or Claude Opus 4.7. I think those two might have felt different than this one. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to say if I would have felt a bigger difference. But one aspect that I would say that it's truly excellent in, and coming in third place doesn't really surprise me. This trooper just kept going, right? It really found the problem. And there are other close ones, but this one is clearly one of the best, agenticness-wise. And this massive leap. They didn't really advertise this, but this honestly would be, if I can find the Gemini Flash, the main selling point over their previous guy. So their previous guy, very relevant. So I'm kind of ignoring the price here. I'm not sure you will use this as an API. So the mainly question is how good that sub is. But their previous guy was not that dumb. Like we can see over at this is the 3.5, and that was the 3, right? Just look at this, how close they are. 43 and 45. Basically neck and neck. Intelligence-wise, very similar. You might not be even to... I can't speak. You might not be even... I can't speak truly. But simply said, if you ask one question, possibly you can't even tell. But what really changed, that just intelligence-wise, it didn't really change. What changed is that it gained 20 point agenticness-wise. And they clearly worked at that CLI. So I hated on the previous CLI, but this one is clearly on another level. But also another aspect, and this is kind of interesting, because others are not doing this. I think outside Codex, if I'm correct. Yeah, Codex is made with Rust, so we can see the difference. That this one is taking 0.4% CPU and 300 megabyte memory, which is a lot still, but regardless. And we can see the top P is taking 6% CPU and 1 gigs of memory. I'm not sure if this is working now. This is just sitting on some conversation. And it's clearly a big improvement over their previous offerings, which were notoriously laggy and memory hungry. I had the Gemini CLI crash on me multiple times while reaching 8 gigs of memory. And the highest I seen, anti-gravity, was at like 30 or 25-ish gigabytes of memory used. So that's not great. So regarding their model, is it really worth using via the API? That's a good question. It would be tempting to say no, but it's fast and multimodal. Actually, one thing we can still check. Yeah, exactly as suspected. They should have promoted this more. So this one is actually the best vision model currently. Even the previous one was pretty great. And if you just struggled with like understanding a picture, then it was often better to just ask Gemini Flash. And this Gemini Flash is like 4% better than the other Gemini Flash. But still, pretty nice. So this makes the model more situational. Definitely not the best bang for buck for general use. And there's sub, that's a bit of a question mark.
Yet, unfortunately, I have some bad news. Everything new in our Google AI subscriptions, fresh from 2026, right? Introducing a new 100 AI Ultra plan. So they didn't change their ways. In fact, their pricing page sucked more than I even thought. So it was worse than being the worst. Right. That's pretty impressive. So what this 100 AI Ultra plan is that it is a 5x for 5x the cost. So literally pointless. In fact, in some regards, like storage, it is a 4x for 5x. So the base gives you 5 terabytes, and this gives you 20 terabytes. Not like it's a great deal. Okay, you get the YouTube Premium plan, but so does the ad blocker. And there is really nothing here. So basically, what you're getting is 5x use scanner, so you can avoid the annoyance of switching accounts. But keep in mind that they made the AI Ultra cheaper. So if you're an AI Ultra subscriber, then this is good news, because now that 20x is now $50 cheaper. So that's great. But you have to keep in mind what you're getting. And this $100 sub is a sucker tier. And in fact, I don't like that $200 tier, because that basically means that the $20 tier is the sucker tier and the $100 tier is the sucker tier by a lot. And then you have the 20x tier for $200. That's pretty good. But also, what are you really getting here? You would be paying for a model that is 2 points smarter than their previous model and also more agentic out of the box. But I didn't mention this before, but if you used a reasonable harness, so it's kind of hard to say. So it does look like a very high score, and I was not using Gemini Flash in other harnesses, but would a harness fix Gemini Flash's lack of agenticness? I would say no, but it would improve it. So it might be overrepresenting it. So let's say that we disregarded the agenticness score here, because it might be highly affected by the harness that it's using. But if you could use it extensively in other harnesses, then you might see the exact same result even with the Gemini 3 Flash. So if you're considering that, it's not much of a leap. But regardless, my main point here is that here we have Kimi that came in for like 1 and 4, and then Mimo came in below that for same price, and it doesn't have vision, and it doesn't have a good sub. And now Gemini Flash comes in for even more money, and it cannot be used in other harnesses. It is fast, but if you want speed, then Kimi Turbo is better. If you want more intelligence, you're not picking it. So possibly the only rational argument you would have for picking Kimi if you need top of the line image understanding. And while it's true that seemingly it has it, but also the pack is pretty close together. So unless you're dealing with something that really sucks at it, like Mistral or Zai, it's really hard to tell the difference. So I can't comment on their $20 tier, but their higher tiers don't really make sense, right? Because let's say that 100, but if you want 100 and you just want to have a lot of a Gemini Flash level thing, then you can just go Fire Pass for $50 a month, right? That is one option, and you have other options. And the Chinese models are generally much cheaper, and they have secondary providers that also drive down the price. And generally speaking, at the $40 to $50 price tier, you effectively have infinite AI for personal use, development use. You could be just making like 10,000 plus requests per day. Yet if you got so many tokens for 1 or 2 basic subs, then why would you get the other ones? And perhaps worth noting that the Gemini Flash came out, what was this, 70 months ago? So this deal is only 4 or 5 times overpriced currently. But as others come out with better models and other providers come out and drive down the price, then it would be definitely a no. But an interesting question I have, because in the previous anti-gravity, how it worked is that you got infinite Gemini Flash. Infinite. Well, if you were not on the free tier. Then you got infinite Gemini Flash, but the Gemini Flash kind of sucked too. As far as I know, at least when I left anti-gravity, you still got infinite Gemini Flash, and everything else was timed out after 1 try for a week, or like at most 4. But let's just get some information from the users. I understand that compute is limited, but these new limits are insane. So it went from 10x, 33x to 166x to 2x, 4x, 80x. And keep in mind, I can tell you this, that the limits used to be so much better. They were actually quite generous before like this year. So this basically means that they upgraded the Ultra tier to half as much, and they basically killed everything else. And this kind of like encouraging people to go Ultra. Very much so. That is the very sneaky plan if you didn't catch that. And on the Ultra tier, before May 17, the daily limit of Gemini 3.1 Pro was 500. 500? That is comical. At its price tier of 250, I think you would get top SOTA open source models. You would get about 37,500 requests per day. So yeah, but of course you wouldn't want that much. So the point is you would get a lower package. So another report is that apparently you have 100 prompts per day. Absolute scam. This is 20 hours ago. Current report. So they actually, this is very common. So what companies do is that there's like a new thing, and then they jack up the price. Not really jack up the price, or just quote the quotas. And because they are so vague about it, they might say like, oh yeah, they kept it vague for no reason. No, they kept it vague to fuck you over, 100%. On a plus sub, one prompt each sub, 30% of the limit. It is some kind of trolling from Google. I'm done with Gemini. I use it limit while the hallucination of the AI is through the roof. For 2 weeks, Gemini was bad. I would say Gemini was bad since the start of this year. Well, the model itself was kind of limited, but the harnesses sucked. Gemini CLI and anti-gravity, and also they were just even if we don't use the word like greedy, they were not greedy. They were simply like not even worth it. Okay, this guy's canceling. So stop using Gemini, use ChatGPT Plus. And these are the first threads that come up. And this guy canceled my pro sub today. The new 5-hour compute limit is completely unusable. I think that makes sense. So what they're doing is that, well, they halved the quota of the ultra tier, but also they made it like 20% cheaper. So if you like the Google products, like a lot, then you would pay for that, right? But this would only be a rational choice if you really care for its surrounding ecosystem. Otherwise, your money can go at least 5x more somewhere else. So I got another report. I know this is the million post. So exactly 4 prompts finish my 5 hours quota, right? Also, they didn't just make the ultra cheaper, if you want to say that, while making it offer you half as much. But they also took out other perks that is kind of pricey, like the AI gen. That's actually very expensive. But presumably, most people who had this didn't use it. So there's another guy, paid 20 for Gemini AI Pro, getting locked out after a few prompts. This is an absolute joke, right? So that kind of implies the limits we have here. So apparently this is quite widely known. Boycott Gemini for the new usage limit. But just to show that I'm not cherry picking, canceled my Pro sub. Okay, this is just having fun with it. 1 prompt, 4% pro usage. I guess some of it is gonna be just promotion from the company, but new limit is a joke. Yeah, compute is limited, so I'm canceling my pro sub. And almost all prompts violate policy. That is just annoying. 5 minutes of chatting with pro, and I'm 100% usage with this new update. Is this a joke? Just chatting in the chat? That makes 0 sense. Okay, I guess we can talk about this a little bit. If you care about using a pretty smart model that just never runs out of chatting capability, then DeepSeek would be your best choice. The best alternative would be Kimi, but it sometimes switches to instant mode, so you would have to live with that. My take is that they can sell their sub at any price, right? They can just offer any deal, but you would want to know what you're getting, right? And them dropping the Pro from 33x to 4x compared to the free one, you would want to know that, right? And keep in mind, we're only talking about it as a potentially new user, right? But if you bought their sub before, you're not even grandfathered in, right? You're dunked on like anyone. What I find insane is that they can change their conditions to an order paid sub that should allow for a full refund. Yeah, but the thing is, you didn't agree to any specific use, right? You just agreed to a high and higher, right? So they are delivering on the high and higher. AI companies have to start showing a profit. So this is only the beginning. The free lunch is over. The thing is, it seems like, albeit I understand this is a Gemini sub. The thing is, even if they were running in the red, they were just giving out stuff so for free, even then, they were absolutely dominated. I had zero chance to anyone who actually used their eyeballs to look at the market. And this guy just bought an annual pro plan, so enjoy. So the full picture for Gemini 3.5 Flash is that they made the Gemini 3 Flash 5% better. They also jacked the PG price 3x and also dropped the sub quota 7x. Except if you're Ultra, then it is only 2x. But also if you're paying that much, wouldn't you just go Codex? And even if you're like super rich, why would you get it, right? I think you would just not have the self-respect to go that route. But apparently the new one is going to come out next month, and that could be exciting. So that's good. But they would still need a reasonable quota that is at least competitive with the Codist offering. Oh yeah, an excellent point that was brought up. That previously, if you had the Plus, or whatever sub, then you had a Gemini CLI quota, and you had an anti-gravity quota. Now, personally, I would say they were not great softwares, but you had the double quota, so to speak. Or essentially, you had kind of the playground, and you had like quota for the video thing. You had quota for the, I don't know, all their bells and whistles that you probably didn't care about, right? You probably didn't use the Gemini CLI because it was not good. But you did have double quota, so you could use your quota that was individual in the Gemini CLI, and same thing in anti-gravity. And what they did was that they combined them, right? In fact, they dropped the quota in Gemini CLI by a lot, even before. The quota is very, very low comparing to Gemini CLI. Yeah, Gemini CLI actually used to have good quota. When it came out, I think it was like 1,500 or 1,000 Gemini Flash users per day on the free thing. That was pretty good, honestly. Only problem was the Gemini CLI sucked. But this essentially means that this is even worse. This is even worse because this is just compared to what anti-gravity had. So what they did is that they lowered the quota from 33 to 4x in the anti-gravity thing. That was already butchered beyond redemption. It was completely unusable, even like 5 months ago, unless you were an Ultra. So if you're an Ultra user, you might have liked it. So you don't have Gemini CLI quota anymore. You just had anti-gravity, and you have less. So it's probably at least twice as bad. Yet I would heavily argue that this is not about this model, but Google as a business. Before, I would even say like before this year, but especially before the previous year, Google was known for like, free stuff and like, come on, just come in, you can use it, you can get an okay deal. That's actually possibly even competitive with the Chinese companies. And now they completely flip. All their plans are vegan scammy. Their cloud prices are the worst. Oh yeah, and this was their big release. But do you really want to like make big news out of this? I guess anyone who possibly watched the show, I did not watch the show, then you might have been misled. But if you just looked at what actually happened, because that is my style. I don't listen to what people say. I just look at what people do and just use my eyeballs. And that is not telling the same story. So there's the big reveal. You got screwed so much. Dramatic usage reduction, side quest, and mediocre model. Yeah, it is pretty much the same as the other guy, with a better harness, presumably. Okay, they removed a Banana Pro too. Also, apparently you get like one deep research prompt on the $20 tier. So that's not going to be good for deep researching. So it's going to be ultra or nothing. Absolutely fucked. Used all my usage in one prompt on an AI Pro account. Fuck you, Google, canceling. I'm not cherry picking here at all. Look at this. Fourth comment. But the entire subreddit is full of it. Gemini is turning into absolute garbage, completely useless. Just ask one question. 25% of my 5-hour quota was immediately consumed. Not good. Boycott Gemini for the new usage limit. Yeah, you can't even refund. So you're kind of screwed. You just have to cut the cord. I'm canceling my pro sub. This is what paying for Ultra gets you. Can you ask me again? Yeah, that's annoying. And this is what you get with like big corpos. And you don't get that with the Chinese companies, interestingly. They are more free-spirited. Or they don't care. Actually, you can't really say that. Because when it comes to like China things, they're going to be like, they're like, oh, I never heard of that. But otherwise, unless it's illegal, they just tell you. So the new rate limit is insane. This guy's canceling. Google Gemini demand to remove or reduce limits. My theory is that if anyone changes the deal on you, at the very least, you should be able to refund that month or whatever you agree to, right? I think that is the bare minimum if someone changes the deal on you. I mean, lawyers might argue that you're entitled to more, but at the very least, the refund. In fact, what I would love to see is that the companies change the deal, then, well, ideally, they shouldn't change the deal like midway. But let's say that you change the way midway, you refund that month or that period, and then auto renew is just canceled. This new Gemini update is ass. A Gemini new cloud limits with much worse models. My theory is that they keep adding in those cloud models, and they also invested in the cloud as company. But if they could just deliver more quota with the Geminis, they should really do that. Oh yeah, that's interesting. This is a unique perspective. Updated anti-gravity, now it's version 2, and all my idea of work is gone. So if you actually enjoyed the previous idea experience, you sick person, then I guess tough luck to be you. I feel robbed in broad daylight. Basically title. I'm a clown that pay for pro. Gems even when using with flashlight. I don't know what gem is. Free prompt led me to 70%. That's it. Cannot use it anymore, as per my observation. They combined all the limits, so now it's one limit for all models. It's no longer divided, yeah. They reduced the quota of anti-gravity 7x, while actually getting rid of the Gemini CLI quota. Actually, this is a good confirmation. What the fuck? No more unlimited flash. Limit reach, continuing with flashlight. Exactly. So this could have been the only saving grace of this thing. Some features aren't available until your limit resets on May 19th. Sure. But also as a personal observation, a 5% better model, just coding score wise, cannot be possibly 3 times more expensive. So that's a little sus. But of course, this price was made in a different time. But an interesting point is that assuming you could have some kind of a good deal on Gemini Free Flash, which is not a thing because it's proprietary, but it's very interesting. Minimax 2.7 is very close to Gemini Free Flash. And if you got this, the Minimax plan, then you're getting 4,500 requests per 5 hours. And 10x of that is the vehicle limit. So that is for $20. So that is competing with the Plus sub. So that's it. And they can get a better model, but you would really need to cross your fingers to hope for better business practices. They should rename the Pro for $10 per prompt tier.